What if your dreams know more about death than you do? What if they're whispering secrets about what lies beyond, right now, while you sleep? Welcome to Midnight Paradox, the channel for those who don't sleep, chasing truth in the dark hours. Let's dive into the mystery of death and how dreams, those raw, unfiltered messages from your unconscious, might just hold the key to what happens when the lights go out. Death. It's the shadow that follows us all, the one truth we can't outrun. Since humanity first stared at the stars, we've been obsessed with what it means. Is it the end? A doorway? A cosmic joke? We build myths, pray to gods, and cling to philosophies, all to make sense of the void. But what if the answers aren't out there in temples or texts? What if they're inside you, flickering in the strange, symbolic world of your dreams? Carl Jung and his collaborator Marie-Louise von Franz believed exactly that. In her book on dreams and death, von Franz cracks open a truth that hits like a lightning bolt. Dreams don't see death as a full stop. They see it as a transformation, a shift to something else. And they're trying to tell you something urgent, something that could change how you live right now. Death is the ultimate question mark. It's not just the end of the body. It's the edge of everything we know. Where did we come from? Where are we going? Why does it all feel so heavy? When faced with mysteries like these, creation, death, the afterlife, our unconscious doesn't just sit there. It gets to work, spinning symbols like a cosmic artist. These aren't random images. They're archetypes, ancient patterns wired into the human psyche. Every culture, every religion has wrestled with them, crafting myths about life after death to soothe the ache of not knowing. Think about it. Why do we tell stories of heavens, underworlds, or reincarnations? Because the psyche demands it. Jung called these stories mythologisms, universal ideas that bubble up from the collective unconscious, the shared reservoir of human experience. Life after death isn't just a fairy tale. It's a structural piece of our soul, as real as your heartbeat. Von Franz, digging into this, saw the afterlife as an archetype, a primordial image that shapes how we face mortality. It's why every religion, from ancient Egypt to modern Hinduism, has some version of "you don't just stop." Your psyche believes in continuity, even if your brain screams, "game over." But here's the kicker. Myths and religions get tangled in cultural baggage, dogma, rituals, politics. They can muddy the raw truth. Dreams, though? They're different. They're the unfiltered voice of your unconscious, slipping past your ego's defenses. They don't care about your beliefs or your priest's sermons. They just happen, like a storm rolling in. Jung said dreams are nature speaking through us, and they only tell us what we need to hear, not what we want. If you're looking for the truest glimpse into what death might mean, don't open a holy book. Look at your dreams. Why trust dreams? Because they're not yours to control. You can't fake them or edit them, unless you're one of those rare lucid dreamers. They're raw, direct, and brutally honest. Jung saw them as the psyche's way of cutting through the noise of your waking life. They're not here to stroke your ego or feed your curiosity. They're here to show you reality, unvarnished. And when it comes to death, they've got a lot to say. Von Franz's On Dreams and Death is a deep dive into this. She studied thousands of dreams from people who were dying or had died soon after. Her findings? None of these dreams treated death as the end. Not one. Instead, they painted it as a shift, a doorway, a transformation, a new chapter. Her research, including the Alchemy of Death project, collected over 2,500 dreams, and every single one suggested continuity. The unconscious doesn't care that your body's clock is ticking down. It acts like your psyche's journey, your individuation, Jung's term for becoming your true self, just keeps going. This is wild when you think about it. We're so glued to our bodies, so convinced that when the heart stops, it's lights out. But the unconscious? It's got other plans. Von Franz quotes Jung. The unconscious psyche pays very little attention to the abrupt end of bodily life and behaves as if the psychic life of the individual will simply continue. This isn't wishful thinking. It's what the psyche does. It's like it's saying, your body's done? Cool, we're not. So, how do we crack the code of these dreams? Jung didn't mess around with textbook theories. He came up with amplification, taking a dream symbol and blasting it open with parallels from myths, history, and culture. Say you dream of a bird. Instead of shrugging it off, you ask, what's a bird mean in human stories? Is it a soul flying free, like in ancient Egypt? A messenger of the gods, like in Greek myths? A symbol of resurrection, like the phoenix? By zooming out, you turn up the volume on the dream's message, making its meaning crystal clear. This isn't just academic navel-gazing. It's a way to hear the unconscious loud and clear. Dreams don't speak in bullet points. They speak in symbols, birds, trees, rivers, fire. Amplification connects these to the collective human experience, showing you that your dream isn't just yours. It's part of a bigger story, one humanity's been telling forever. And when it comes to death, those symbols get loud. They're not random. They're archetypes, wired into your psyche, pointing to truths you might not want to face. Let's get real. The idea of an afterlife isn't just a bedtime story. It's a psychological necessity. Every culture has one because the psyche demands it. In Hinduism, you're not your body or your ego, Ahamkara. You're the Atman, the eternal self, one with Brahman, the ultimate reality. The veil of Maya, illusion, makes you think your body's all there is. But the goal is to wake up, to see through the mirage and know your true essence. Sound familiar? It's Jung's individuation in a different language. The journey to integrate your ego with your deeper self, the core of who you are. This archetype shows up everywhere. Egyptian myths talk of the soul's journey through the underworld, weighed against a feather. Christian stories promise resurrection or eternal life. Even modern spiritualities lean into reincarnation or cosmic unity. Why? Because the unconscious believes in life after death. It's not about dogma. It's about the psyche structure. Von Franz saw this in dreams. They don't mourn the body's end. They show it as a transition, like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly. The body's just a cocoon, and the psyche's got wings. What are death dreams exactly? They're not just nightmares about coffins or grim reapers. They're dreams from people who died soon after, often carrying a precognitive vibe, like the unconscious knows something's coming. Von Franz found these dreams don't scream, game over. They use symbols, forests, rivers, light, to hint at continuation. A woman dreamt her wristwatch was broken beyond repair. 2 days later, her favorite tree crashed to the ground. Brutal, right? But those symbols forced her to face her cancer diagnosis, and after the shock, she found peace. She lived years longer, dreaming normally, as if the unconscious had done its job. Wake her up to reality. These dreams aren't always about imminent death. Some are memento mori, reminders to face mortality now, to live better. Others are dead-on accurate, like a colleague's dream. You can go on living if you want. He fought, recovered, and proved the psyche's power to negotiate with fate. Destiny and freedom dance together in these dreams, showing you've got a say, even at the edge. Why should you care about death dreams? Because they're not just about dying, they're about living. The unconscious is trying to shake you awake, to stop running from the inevitable and start embracing it. Like Stoicism teaches, facing death head-on makes you live more fully. Jung and von Franz aren't selling you a fairy tale about pearly gates. They're saying your psyche knows something deeper, something that could change how you face tomorrow. What if you've already seen the other side and didn't know it? What if your mind can slip past death's door and come back with secrets? Welcome to Midnight Paradox, the channel for those who burn the midnight oil chasing truth. We're diving deeper into the mystery of death, where dreams and near-death experiences rip open the veil between this world and whatever's next. Carl Jung and Marie-Louise von Franz didn't just theorize about the afterlife. They found evidence in the psyche's raw data, dreams that laugh at the idea of the end, and visions that scream there's more to you than flesh and bone. Let's talk near-death experiences, the ego's dance with the self, and why your brain might just be a radio tuning into something eternal. Picture this. You're clinically dead. Heart stopped. Brain flatlined. Doctors scrambling. But you're floating above your body, watching the chaos like it's a movie. Or you're drifting through a tunnel, pulled toward a light that feels like home. Maybe you meet a figure, a being of light, an inner voice that knows you better than you know yourself. This isn't sci-fi. It's what thousands report in near-death experiences, or NDEs. Raymond Moody coined the term in his 1975 book Life After Life, and it shook the world. He documented people who died and came back with eerily similar stories. Peace beyond words, freedom from pain, a life flashing before their eyes, or a realm more real than reality itself. These aren't just campfire tales. They're clues that consciousness might not be chained to your skull. Jung had his own NDE in 1944 after a heart attack. He didn't just see stars, he saw the universe. He described floating in a cosmic void, meeting a guide who showed him a temple of light. Time collapsed. Past, present, and future melted into one. He felt ecstasy, like he was finally whole. But then his doctor's voice yanked him back, and he was pissed. Reality felt like a prison, a box system of gray walls and limited dimensions. Jung's vision wasn't unique. NDE reports echo this across cultures and eras. People don't just see light, they feel it, know it, become it. And they come back changed, often reluctant to return to this clunky, earthbound life. What's going on here? Science says your brain's just a meat computer, shutting down when the power's cut. But NDEs suggest something wilder. Consciousness isn't local. It's not stuck in your neurons. It's more like your brain's a receiver, tuning into a signal that doesn't quit when your body does. Studies since Moody's time back this up. People declared dead, zero brain activity, report details they couldn't know. Conversations in the operating room, objects in corners they never saw. One guy described the exact shoes a nurse was wearing while he was out. Explained that with a dying brain firing random sparks. You can't. The psyche, it seems, plays by different rules, ones that don't care about heartbeats or EEGs. Jung's take? The unconscious isn't bound by time or space. It's not just a storage unit for repressed memories. It's a gateway to something bigger. In his NDE, he felt everything that happens in time had been brought together into a concrete whole. No past, no future, just one eternal now. That's not poetic fluff. It's a glimpse into a reality where the psyche operates beyond the physical. Von Franz, his collaborator, saw this in dreams too. Her work on dreams and death shows the unconscious acting like death's just a costume change, not a curtain call. The psyche doesn't panic about the body's end. It's too busy prepping for the next act. Let's talk about what happens in these NDEs. Moody's research laid out patterns. You might see your body from above, feel weightless, or drift through a dark tunnel toward a light that's not just bright, but alive. Some meet beings, angels, ancestors, or a presence that feels like pure love. Others get a life review, every moment replayed with crystal clarity, not just from their view, but from everyone they've ever touched. Imagine reliving every word, every choice, feeling its ripple on others. It's not judgment, it's truth, raw and unfiltered. And then there's the home feeling, a sense you're back where you belong, in a place more real than this one. But often, a voice says, not yet. You've got work to do. And back you come, dragged into the box system of flesh and time. Jung's own brush with death was a masterclass in this. After his heart attack, he saw Earth from 1,000 miles up, bathed in blue light. He entered a floating temple, met a guide, and felt ready to stay. But his doctor's call pulled him back, and he was furious. He called it returning to an intolerable gray world. The intensity of his visions made reality feel fake, like a cheap set compared to the cosmic stage he'd just left. His nurse even noticed a glow around him, a phenomenon she'd seen in others near death. This wasn't delirium. It was the psyche breaking free, touching something eternal. What's the deal with this box system? Jung's term nails it. Our everyday reality, with its clocks and cubicles, is a tiny slice of existence. Your brain filters the psyche's raw power, keeping you grounded in space-time. But in an NDE, that filter cracks. You're not bound by the body's limits anymore. The unconscious takes over, showing you a reality where time's a myth and space is just a suggestion. It's why NDE survivors often come back transformed, less afraid of death, more focused on meaning. They've seen the bigger picture, and it's not what your high school science teacher told you. Now, let's get to the ego and the self, Jung's big idea. The ego's your everyday self, the you that pays bills, argues on X, and worries about tomorrow. The self is deeper, the total you, including the unconscious, the part that feels eternal. In NDEs, the ego often meets the self, like a character meeting its author. Moody's cases describe this. One guy felt fused with a light being, separate yet one, under its control. Another saw his ego transform into something absolute, unchangeable, indivisible, yet part of an infinite whole. It's like meeting your soul's blueprint, the real you that's been there all along, buried under fears and distractions. This ego-self dance is what Jung's individuation is all about. Life's a journey to align your ego with yourself, to become whole. If you get too cocky and think you are the self, you're inflated. Hello, God complex. If you drift too far from it, life feels empty, pointless. NDEs fast-track this. They shove your ego face-to-face with the self, stripping away illusions. One survivor described himself as a sphere inside a round ball, the ego nested in the self, unique yet part of something vast. Jungian therapy aims for this balance in life, but NDEs do it in minutes, often with a side of cosmic fireworks. Why does this matter? Because it's not just about what happens when you die. It's about what you're doing right now. If your psyche can touch eternity in an NDE, what's it trying to tell you every night in your dreams? Von Franz found that death dreams echo NDE themes. Transformation, not termination. A woman dreamt of a broken watch and a fallen tree, symbols of her body's end, but they led to peace, not despair. Another man, told he could live if he fought, beat a terminal illness. The unconscious isn't just forecasting death, it's coaching you through it, showing you how to live or let go. These experiences aren't random. They're the psyche's way of saying, you're more than your body. The brain might be a radio, but the signal? That's your consciousness, and it doesn't fade when the power's cut. Jung's NDE showed him a reality where time and space dissolve, where the psyche's free to roam. Von Franz's dream research backs this. The unconscious doesn't sweat the body's deadline. It's got bigger plans, ones that stretch beyond the grave. Think about what this means for you. If consciousness isn't tied to your neurons, what are you holding on to? Fear of death? Obsession with control? The unconscious is begging you to let go, to trust there's more. Like a stoic facing the void. You can live bolder knowing death's not the end. It's a shift. NDEs and death dreams aren't just stories. They're proof your psyche's already got one foot in eternity. The question is, are you listening? Ever had a dream that felt like it knew your fate? Like it was screaming, "Wake up, something's coming"? Welcome to Midnight Paradox, the channel for those who wrestle with truth when the world's asleep. We're plunging deeper into the mystery of death, where dreams don't just reflect your fears, they predict, prepare, and sometimes slap you with reality. Carl Jung and Marie-Louise von Franz cracked open the psyche's vault, showing us death dreams aren't just nightmares. They're messages from your unconscious, hinting at what's next. Some foretell the end, others demand you face it now, but all say one thing. Death's not a wall, it's a door. Let's unpack these eerie, life-changing visions and why they matter. Death dreams are the psyche's gut punch. They're not your average snooze fest about flying or forgetting your lines in a play. These are dreams from people who died soon after, or ones that force you to stare mortality in the face. Von Franz, in her game-changing book on dreams and death, studied thousands of these, and they're wild. They don't whimper about the body shutting down. They paint death as a shift, a transformation, a cosmic wardrobe change. The unconscious doesn't care about your pulse fading. It's busy sketching symbols of what's beyond. A broken watch, a falling tree, a journey west. These aren't random. They're the psyche's code, and cracking it can change how you live or die. What makes these dreams special? Some are precognitive, like a psychic text message from the future. They know you're on the clock before you do. Take a woman von Franz worked with. She dreamt her wristwatch was smashed beyond repair. 2 days later, her favorite tree crashed to the ground. Cancer was eating her alive, but she didn't want to see it. Those dreams hit like a sledgehammer, forcing her to face the truth. The shock was brutal, but it freed her. She lived years longer, at peace, her dreams turning calm, as if the unconscious said, "Good, you get it now." These aren't just warnings. They're wake-up calls to stop bullshitting yourself. But not every death dream means you're about to kick the bucket. Some are what the ancients called memento mori, a reminder to live like you're mortal. They're not predicting your funeral. They're demanding you rethink your life. A colleague of Jung's had a patient who dreamt, "You can go on living if you want." He was staring down a deadly illness, but that dream lit a fire under him. He fought, clawed his way back, and lived. The unconscious wasn't just forecasting, it was offering a choice. Destiny and freedom tangle in these dreams, like a cosmic arm wrestle. You're not just a pawn. You've got a say, even when the reaper's knocking. How do you know which is which? That's the tricky part. Some dreams scream, "This is it," with a chill that makes your skin crawl. Von Franz called it an uncanny feeling, a gut-level knowing that's more instinct than science. A patient dreams of a coffin in an ambulance, wakes up shaking, and doesn't make it out of the hospital. Another dreams of a black bird sinking in a lake, its eye glinting like a diamond, and dies in surgery days later. These hit different, like the unconscious is yelling, "Pay attention." Others are gentler, philosophical, urging you to face death to live better. A skeptic might scoff, saying it's all wishful thinking. But dreams don't care about your cynicism. They show what's real, no sugarcoating. Let's talk cases. A man in his 40s, diagnosed with a terminal illness, couldn't accept it. He was an atheist, hardcore materialist, convinced death was lights out. The night after his diagnosis, he dreamt of a green wheat field, half-ripe, trampled by cattle. A voice boomed. "Everything seems destroyed, but from the roots, the wheat will grow again." Sounds hopeful, right? But he rejected it, clinging to his no afterlife stance. He died soon after, still at war with his fate. The dream wasn't lying. It was offering peace, a hint that something endures. He just couldn't hear it. Compare that to the woman with the watch and tree. She faced the truth, found calm, and lived longer. The difference? Acceptance. Dreams don't force you, they invite you. Then there's the kid who spooked Jung himself. A psychiatrist's 10-year-old daughter sent him a booklet of dreams she'd written at 8. 9 of the 12 were about destruction and restoration. Heavy stuff for a kid. Jung was floored. These were the kinds of dreams you'd expect from someone ancient, staring down death. A year later, she died of an infection on Christmas. Her dreams weren't just random. They were precognitive, the psyche preparing her for the end. It's haunting, but it shows the unconscious doesn't play favorites with age. Kids, elders, anyone can get these messages when death's near. Dreams don't just predict your own end, they can call out someone else's. A colleague of Jung's was burning up with a gangrenous fever. A former patient, clueless about his condition, dreamt he died in a blazing fire. 3 weeks later, he was gone. Or take Jung's friend, Lawrence van der Post, sailing from Africa to Europe. He dreamt Jung waved, saying, "I'll be seeing you." That same day, lightning struck Jung's favorite tree, and news came. Jung had died. Nature itself seemed to chime in, like the universe was sending a memo. These dreams aren't just personal. They tap a deeper network, picking up signals beyond your 5 senses. Why do these dreams hit so hard? Because they're not here to coddle you. The unconscious doesn't care about your feelings. It's got a job to do. When you're in denial, it gets brutal, showing death with zero mercy. A woman dreamt of a black spot in her eye, spreading until it swallowed everything. She died hours later, but the dream left her calm, like it had done its work. Another saw a stranger in her room, radiating inhuman, terrible fear. Cancer took her within a year. These aren't cruel. They're honest, stripping away illusions so you can face what's real. The psyche wants you ready, whether you're fighting to live or preparing to go. This ties to life's big thresholds. Death is the ultimate one, but the unconscious preps you for all kinds of shifts: marriage, career changes, midlife crises. Death dreams spike in the second half of life, when you've climbed the external ladder, job, family, status, and the psyche turns inward. It's like, congrats on the corner office. Now let's talk about your soul. Midlife is when you start living toward what von Franz called eternalization, the great work of becoming whole. The unconscious starts whispering, "Time's ticking, what's your legacy?" It's not morbid. It's a call to get real about what matters. Even kids get these dreams sometimes. Jung's case of the girl's death dreams shows the psyche doesn't care about your age. It's got a mission: prepare you for the big moments. A young woman dreamt of a dead black bird in a lake, its eye a shining diamond. She died in surgery, but the dream wasn't just a warning. It was a gift, showing her something eternal endures. The diamond eye? That's the self, the core of you that outlasts the body. These dreams don't just scare, they console, pointing to a spark that doesn't fade. What's the point of all this? Death dreams aren't just about dying, they're about waking up. They're the psyche's way of saying, stop sleepwalking through life. Like a stoic staring down mortality, they push you to live with purpose, to face the end so you can embrace the now. Jung said our psyche reaches into a region held captive neither by change in time nor by limitation of place. Birth is a death, death is a birth. The unconscious sees them as two sides of the same coin, and it's trying to teach you that. These dreams are your coach, your prophet, your brutal best friend. They don't let you hide. Whether they're predicting your exit or shaking you to live better, they're proof your psyche's playing a longer game than your body. The question is, are you listening? Or are you still pretending you've got forever? We're not done yet. Next, we'll dive into metapsychic dreams, when the dead show up in your sleep, bringing messages from the other side. Stay with Midnight Paradox, where we chase truth in the dark. Smash that like, hit subscribe, and drop a comment. Ever had a dream that predicted something spooky? Let's talk about it. What if the dead are trying to talk to you? What if your dreams are a bridge to those who've crossed over, carrying messages that could change everything? Welcome to Midnight Paradox, the channel for those who chase truth in the witching hour. We're diving into the eerie world of metapsychic dreams, visions where the dead show up, not as memories, but as real presences with something to say. Carl Jung and Marie-Louise von Franz didn't just study dreams of death. They stumbled onto ones that seemed to connect us to the beyond, hinting that your psyche might be wired for eternity. Buckle up as we explore these otherworldly encounters, their link to the self, and why the line between the living and the dead is thinner than you think. These aren't your typical dreams. Metapsychic dreams, as von Franz called them, hit different. They're not just your brain recycling old memories or working through your day. They're intense, vivid, and leave you with a shiver, like you've touched something eternal. Picture this. 6 weeks after Jung's father died, he dreamt the old man showed up, saying he'd made a good recovery and was coming home. 2 days later, the dream repeated, like a signal stuck on loop. Jung didn't shrug it off. It forced him to rethink life after death, to wonder if the dead were more than gone. These dreams don't just haunt, they demand you pay attention. Von Franz had her own run-in. 3 weeks after her father's death, she dreamt he visited her, calm and happy, studying at a music academy. He'd loved music in life, but never had time to master it. In the dream, he was catching up, like death gave him a second shot. But here's the weird part. He went to the guest room, not his old bedroom, saying, "Now I'm only a guest." Then von Franz felt a burning heat, woke up sweating, like her body was fighting off the chill of the grave. Jung interpreted this as a literal encounter with her father's spirit, not just a memory. The heat, a defense against the coldness of the dead, who sometimes pull energy from the living to manifest. Spooky, right? But it's not just ghost stories. It's the psyche reaching across the veil. What's going on here? These dreams blur the line between subjective and objective. Some are your unconscious chewing on personal baggage, like a mother complex or unresolved grief. But others? They feel like the real deal, the actual dead dropping by. Von Franz said it's a subtle distinction, like walking a tightrope in the dark. Most therapists would chalk it up to your psyche projecting, but Jung and von Franz weren't so quick to dismiss the objective dead. These dreams often hit soon after someone passes, though they can show up years later, carrying a weight that's hard to explain. It's like the dead have unfinished business, and your dreams are their meeting room. Take Jung's dreams of his late wife. She appeared, still working on her Grail legend research, a project she left unfinished when she died. In another dream, the dead were hungry for news from Earth, like they couldn't keep up without the living. It's as if the afterlife isn't cut off, it's connected, and dreams are the Wi-Fi. Von Franz saw this too. Her father's dream wasn't just her brain grieving. It was him compensating for a life half-lived, finding peace in music. These encounters suggest the dead keep growing, evolving, just like us. Death isn't a freeze frame. It's a new chapter, and your psyche's got the pen. Why do these dreams feel so real? Because they're charged with what von Franz called a touch of eternity. They don't just fade like your average dream about missing a bus. They stick with you, heavy with meaning. Jung said the dead sometimes need the living to complete something left undone. In one dream, a dead friend was desperate to know what was happening on Earth, like he was cut off from the action. It's not just about them, though, it's about you. These dreams push you toward what Jung called the self, the core of your being that's bigger than your ego, the part that feels eternal. Meeting the dead in dreams is like meeting a piece of yourself, the part that knows death isn't the end. This gets us to individuation, Jung's big idea. Life's about becoming whole, aligning your ego, that everyday you who's stressed about bills and likes on X, with the self, the deeper truth of who you are. Metapsychic dreams are a crash course in this. They show you the dead aren't just gone. There's still something, still tied to the same psychic network you're plugged into. When von Franz's father said he was a guest, it wasn't just a metaphor. It was a hint that the self outlasts the body, moving through realms we can't see. These dreams are the psyche's way of saying, you're part of something bigger. Start acting like it. But there's a catch. The living and the dead shouldn't get too cozy. Von Franz warned that these worlds are dangerous when they overlap too much. Ever hear of ghost stories where people feel drained after seeing an apparition? There's a reason. The dead might pull energy to show up, leaving you rattled. In her dream, von Franz felt that burning heat, like her body was fighting off an intrusion. Jung noted that touching phantoms can feel like an electric shock, a jolt from another plane. It's why metapsychic dreams are rare. They're not meant to be a daily chat with the departed. They're a wake-up call, urging you to focus on your own journey toward wholeness. What do you take to the beyond? Not your car, your bank account, or your follower count. According to these dreams, it's the substance of yourself, the parts of you you've made conscious, the truths you've faced. The more you integrate yourself in life, the less you'll have to wrestle with in death. Von Franz saw this in her patients. Those who worked on their inner world, who faced their shadows and fears, died more at peace. Their dreams showed continuity, not chaos. It's like the psyche rewards you for doing the work now, so you're not scrambling when the curtain falls. This ties to suffering, too. Jung and von Franz believed conscious suffering, facing life's pain head-on, builds that eternal substance. It's not about wallowing. It's about owning your struggles, like a stoic staring down fate. A patient of von Franz, in a schizophrenic breakdown, asked, "What's the meaning of my life? I'm ruined." Von Franz's answer? "You're suffering for God." It clicked. The woman found peace, knowing her pain wasn't wasted. It was forging something eternal, a piece of herself that would endure. That's the power of these dreams. They don't just show death, they show why you're alive. Let's talk about Jung's own brush with the dead. After his father's death, those dreams of him recovering weren't just grief, they were a signal. Jung felt it in his bones. Life after death wasn't a fairy tale. His wife's dreams, continuing her grail work, showed the same. The dead don't just vanish. They carry on, tied to the same psychic thread as the living. It's why these dreams feel so urgent, so real. They're not just your mind playing tricks. They're glimpses of a reality where the self keeps going, guest or not. What does this mean for you? If the dead can visit, if your psyche can touch eternity, what's stopping you from living deeper now? These dreams aren't just spooky stories. They're a call to action. Stop chasing distractions and start chasing truth. The unconscious is begging you to face yourself, to build something that outlasts your body. Like a stoic facing the void, you've got to live with purpose, knowing the dead might be watching, waiting for you to catch up. We're not done yet. Next, we'll dig into the symbols of death dreams, vegetation, fire, fruit, that scream rebirth and eternity. Stay with Midnight Paradox, where we hunt truth in the dark. What if death isn't an end, but a rebirth written in the language of your dreams? What if the symbols in your sleep, trees, fire, fruit, are screaming that you're eternal? Welcome to Midnight Paradox, the channel for those who stalk truth when the world's asleep. We're diving into the wild symbols of death dreams, where the unconscious paints life after death in vivid, archetypal strokes. Carl Jung and Marie-Louise von Franz decoded these images, vegetation, fire, fruit, as proof your psyche sees death as a transformation, not a blackout. These aren't just pretty metaphors. They're the soul's blueprint for what's next. Let's unravel these symbols and see why they're shouting that you're more than your body. Death dreams don't mess around. They don't give you fluffy clouds or grim reapers. They hit you with symbols that cut deep, rooted in humanity's oldest stories. Von Franz, in On Dreams and Death, found these images repeating across thousands of dreams. Forests regrowing, fires purifying, fruits enduring. They're not random. They're archetypes, wired into your psyche, echoing myths from Egypt to India. These symbols don't just predict death. They show it's a doorway to something else, a shift your unconscious is already prepping for. Let's break them down, one by one, and see what they're trying to tell you. First up, vegetation. Ever dream of a forest, a wheat field, or a flower? These aren't just nature vibes. They're the psyche's favorite way to say, life keeps going. A man with bladder cancer dreamt an ambulance came for him, but instead of a stretcher, it held a coffin. He woke up terrified, died weeks later, but his dreams didn't stop there. He saw a winter forest, cold and misty, with trees crashing down, his body's end. Then, boom, the scene flipped to summer, sunlight dancing on green moss. His dead father appeared, saying, "Don't worry about what's happening down there." The message? Death's brutal, but something grows back. The unconscious picked a forest for a reason. Trees die in winter, but their roots endure, sprouting again in spring. This isn't new. Ancient Egyptians saw the dead as wheat, linked to Osiris, the god who dies and rises. They'd bury mummies with grain, believing germination meant resurrection. In the Bible, John 12 verse 24 says, "Unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains alone, but if it dies, it bears much fruit." Sound familiar? A terminally ill man dreamt of a trampled wheat field, destroyed by cattle, but a voice said, "From the roots, the wheat will grow again." He rejected it, too stubborn to believe, and died unreconciled. But the dream was clear. Death's not final. Your psyche sees you like a seed, ready to sprout in another form. Flowers, too, are big in death dreams. They're not just pretty. They're the self, your eternal core. A dying woman, in active imagination, saw a flower and said, "I am this radiant flower, from which a spring has burst forth. I take the shape of eternity." She felt whole, untouchable. Buddha sits on a lotus, a mandala symbolizing enlightenment. Funeral wreaths? They're not just for grief. They're unconscious resurrection magic, a nod to life returning. Vegetation in dreams screams that death's a cycle, not a dead end. Your body fades, but your essence? It's got roots deeper than you know. Next, let's talk fire. Scary, right? But in dreams, fire's not just destruction. It's purification, transformation. A man dreamt of a green would burn to ashes, but in the wreckage lay a red boulder, untouched by the flames. He died young, bitter about unfulfilled dreams, but that boulder, the philosopher's stone of alchemy, was his self, indestructible. Alchemists saw death as the nigredo, a blackening stage where the body breaks down. Then comes the albedo, a whitening, purifying the soul, and finally the rubedo, a reddening where opposites unite. That redstone, it's you, stripped to your eternal core, untouched by death's fire. This isn't just alchemy nerd stuff. Egyptians believed the dead passed through a lake of fire, destroying the false, saving the true. The Apostle Paul called Christ the foundation tested by fire, burning away the junk to reveal what lasts. Fire in death dreams does the same. It burns off your ego's baggage, leaving the self shining. Von Franz saw this over and over. Fire as a symbol of what endures. It's why hell and purgatory blur in old texts. Fire doesn't just punish, it refines. Your psyche's saying, let go of the fluff. What's real and you will survive. Then there's fruit, the psyche's symbol for what you carry into the beyond. An 80-year-old man dreamt his dying plum tree sprouted golden plums. A miracle, he showed his kids. Those plums, they're the fruit of your deeds, what you've earned through conscious living. In Hinduism and Buddhism, karma's your grain, the result of your actions. The Bible says, by their fruits you shall know them. A man who suffered in his career dreamed a voice saying his pain, redeemed hundreds in your generation and will illuminate hundreds more. That's the fruit, your conscious struggles, your willingness to face life's pain, ripen into something eternal. Von Franz got this on a gut level. During World War II, hiding in a shelter, she faced death and realized it wasn't about surviving. It was about finishing her work. She wasn't scared of dying, just of leaving her task undone. By her 70s, she'd done it, and death didn't faze her. She died at 83, at peace. Why? Because she'd grown her fruit, herself, through conscious effort. Suffering isn't pointless if you face it. It's the raw material for something that outlasts you, like gold in a cosmic vault. This idea flips suffering on its head. Von Franz told a woman in a schizophrenic breakdown, "You're suffering for God." It wasn't a platitude, it gave her life meaning. She could endure because her pain was forging something eternal. The Book of Job vibes here. Suffering, when faced consciously, becomes a redemptive act, not just for you, but for the universe. It's stoic as hell. Face the pain, own it, and it becomes your strength. Your psyche's not here to coddle you. It's here to make you eternal. These symbols, vegetation, fire, fruit, aren't just pretty pictures. They're the unconscious saying, you're not done. They tie to every major myth and religion, from Osiris's wheat to Christ's fruit. Egyptians buried grain with mummies, believing it guaranteed rebirth. Alchemists chased the philosopher's stone, a symbol of the immortal self. Your dreams are tapping into that same wisdom, showing you death's not a void, it's a transformation. The psyche's obsessed with this, like it's got a mission to make you see. Why does this matter? Because these symbols aren't just for the dying, they're for you, right now. They're a call to live deeper, to face your pain, to grow your fruit. Every time you dodge your fears or chase distractions, you're stunting that growth. The unconscious is screaming, wake up, build something that lasts. Like a stoic staring down mortality, you've got to live with purpose. Knowing yourself is what endures. These dreams are your map, showing you how to get there. Have you ever dreamt of a tunnel pulling you toward light, or a stranger who felt like death itself? What if those images are your psyche's way of prepping you for the ultimate leap? Welcome to Midnight Paradox, the channel for those who chase truth when the world's asleep. We're wrapping up our dive into death dreams, where the unconscious doesn't just hint at the end, it screams about transformation. Carl Jung and Marie-Louise von Franz showed us that symbols like tunnels, thresholds, light, and eerie figures aren't random. They're the psyche's map to what's beyond. Let's unpack these final archetypes and see why they're begging you to live deeper now, before the curtain falls. We've already seen how death dreams paint life after death with forests, fire, and fruit, symbols of rebirth and eternity. But the unconscious has more to say, and it gets intense. Tunnels, thresholds, light, and sinister figures like wolves or strangers show up when death's near, each carrying a piece of the puzzle. These aren't just spooky images. They're the psyche's way of guiding you through the biggest transition of all. Von Franz, in On Dreams and Death, found these motifs in thousands of dreams, and they all point to one thing. death's not a dead end. It's a doorway to something your conscious mind can barely grasp. Let's start with tunnels. Ever heard of near-death experiences where people float through a dark tunnel toward a blazing light? It's not just NDE folklore. Death dreams love this image too. A young woman, days before dying in surgery, dreamt of a black bird sinking in a lake, its eye a diamond. That dark water was her tunnel, pulling her toward the unknown. In NDEs, people often describe drifting through a passage, sometimes forced back to life by doctors or a voice saying, "Not yet." Von Franz saw this in dreams as a journey west, toward the setting sun, like the Egyptian souls sailing with Ra through the underworld. The tunnel's a symbol of transition, a birth canal to another existence. Your psyche's saying, "You're moving, not stopping." Thresholds are just as big. An old woman dreamt of a candle on her hospital windowsill, flickering out, plunging her into darkness. Fear hit hard. Then the candle relit on the other side of the glass. She woke up calm and died 4 hours later. That window was a threshold, a boundary between life and whatever's next. Von Franz compared it to a black hole's event horizon. Once you cross, you're unobservable, but you're still there. The candle's light didn't die. It just moved. These dreams don't promise pearly gates. They show life shifting to a realm we can't see. It's why ancient cultures buried their dead facing east, toward the sunrise, believing death was a new dawn. Your psyche's obsessed with this idea. Death's a crossing, not a crash. Light's the big one, though. It shows up more than any other symbol in death dreams and NDEs. Not just any light, blinding, alive, a color you can't name that doesn't hurt your eyes. Jung, after his 1944 NDE, glowed so brightly his nurse noticed, a phenomenon she'd seen in others near death. A man clinically dead for 23 minutes saw a shining net, vibrating with cold energy, transforming him as he passed through. "I was in another state of being," he said, "beyond time and space." Light's the psyche's symbol for consciousness, for waking up to eternity. When you see the light in a dream, it's not a cliché. It's the self, your eternal core, shining through the fog of everyday life. Then there's the sinister other, strangers, wolves, or figures that chill your blood. A businessman dreamt of waking in a dark room, half underground, with a stranger radiating inhuman, terrible fear. A year later, cancer took him. Another man saw an old guy in his apartment, looking like death itself, and died soon after. Jung dreamt of a wolfhound tearing through a forest, carrying a soul away, the night his mother died. These figures aren't just nightmares. They're death personified, often tied to the divine's dark side. Von Franz said the less you know death, the scarier these dreams feel. In Egyptian mythology, Anubis, the jackal-headed god, guides souls. In Greek tales, Cerberus guards Hades. Your psyche uses these figures to shock you awake, to make you face what's coming. The spirit of discouragement is another kicker. Some death dreams bring a heavy, dark cloud, a sense of meaninglessness that smothers you. A woman saw a black spot in her eye, spreading until it blocked everything. She died hours later. Moody's NDE research described a limbo where gray, shuffling spirits wandered, lost and depressed. This gloom isn't cruelty. It's the psyche detaching you from the outer world, forcing you to let go of the ego's obsessions, money, status, likes on X. It's saying, this stuff's fake. Look inward. That darkness is a call to find the light of yourself, to stop clinging to what doesn't matter. These symbols, tunnels, thresholds, light, sinister others, discouragement, aren't just random. They're the unconscious prepping you for the big shift. Von Franz's 2,500 dreams showed no hint of a final end, only transformation. The psyche doesn't care about your body's expiration date. It's focused on your individuation, the journey to wholeness. Jung said, "Our psyche reaches into a region held captive neither by change in time nor by limitation of place. Death's a birth, a new sunrise for your soul. The self, that eternal spark, is what endures, and these dreams are your guide to finding it." What's the big takeaway? Your psyche's not just predicting death, it's teaching you how to live. Every tunnel, every light, every creepy stranger is a push to face your mortality now, to build yourself while you've got time. Like a stoic staring into the void, you've got to live with purpose, knowing your essence outlasts your flesh. Von Franz saw this in her patients. Those who faced their dreams died at peace, their psyche aligned with eternity. The ones who fought it, they suffered, stuck in denial. The choice is yours. Listen to the dreams or keep running. This ties to life's purpose, conscious realization. Jung and von Franz believed we're here to become aware, to wrestle with suffering and duality until we uncover the self. Every step you take toward that, every fear faced, every pain owned, changes the universe. It's not just about you, it's about the collective. A patient dreamt his suffering redeemed hundreds and would illuminate generations. That's the fruit of conscious living, the gold that survives death. Your psyche's begging you to start now, to stop chasing distractions and build something eternal. What happens after death? Von Franz didn't have all the answers, and neither do we. Her dreams suggest individuality endures, but for how long? Is it timeless? Do the dead connect with each other? Reincarnation? The questions pile up, but one thing's clear. The everyday me obsessed with trivial crap fades away. The essential me, the self, forged through conscious effort, keeps going. It's like shedding a skin, leaving behind the ego's baggage to become something pure, something tied to the divine. This isn't about dogma or fairy tales. It's about what your psyche knows deep down beyond your doubts. Dreams of tunnels and light aren't just pretty. They're proof you're wired for eternity. The unconscious is your coach, your prophet, your no-nonsense friend, saying, "Get it together. You're more than this body. So why wait? Live like you're eternal now. Face the dark, find the light, and grow your fruit." That's the secret these dreams are screaming, and it's up to you to listen. That's the end of our journey through death dreams, but the mystery's just beginning. Stay with Midnight Paradox, where we chase truth in the dark. Smash that like, hit subscribe, and drop a comment. What's the wildest death dream you've had? Did it shake you awake? Let's keep the conversation alive, and join us next time for more secrets from the sleepless hours.